where the grass grows wild. CiottiFPV's goggles locked, grinning like a child. Teddy spaghetti's fur flies and jet wash dreams, yeah. Chasing small whoops like a dog possessed fiend. Eyes on a neon blur, hard in the chase. Big fuzz and prop spin all tangled in place, yeah. Four-legged rebel with a rotor stir tail. In the circus of the sky, they never fail. CiottiFPV, Teddy spaghetti, dynamic duo kings, barking at the breeze, throttling at top speed, they zooming through hoops, flipping in style. That schnauzer's got throttle and a toothy smile. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Shotties on sticks, Teddy's on paws. Side by side legends breaking all the laws. Through the kitchen over couch scale terrain. Backyard mayhem in their flight domain. No ground too sacred, no loop too tight. Fuzz fuel fury ignites the night. When pilot and pup lock eyes on the prize, every whoop they conquer is a fresh cut surprise. Yeah, yo, Shotty behind the sticks, Teddy's leading the pack. Prop guard missiles unleashed, never looking back. No leash, no map, just freestyle Mike. They on the dog drone streets every day and night. Said whoops, hitting low, gotta nail the dive. Teddy push throttle up, feel the beast come alive. I see the neon arc, got the sticks locked in, Teddy. Yeah, let's rip this loop, ride the roar of the wind, Teddy. Yep, yeah. CiottiFPV, Teddy spaghetti, diamond and duo kings, barking at the breeze, throttling at top speed, zooming through hoops, flipping in style. That schnauzer's got throttle and a toothy smile. Teddy spaghetti, Teddy and duo kings, barking at the breeze, throttling at top speed, zooming through hoops, flipping in style. That schnauzer's got throttle and a toothy smile. Yeah, when you hear that bar cut the rotor hum, you know Ciotty and Teddy's mission's just begun. FPV's fur-faced legends, legends sing it loud. Yeah, Teddy spaghetti and CiottiFPV always proud. Yeah.
Hey friends, my name is Aaron Ciotti. Everybody calls me Ciotti. Welcome to Fresh Build Friday. I feel like crap. I didn't sleep worth a shit. My back hurts like hell. Welcome. We're going to get through it though. We're going to do a little bit of work on Drew's V1 Cinesplore. Tonight I'm going to answer some questions. We're going to hang out. And then at 9:00 I'm out of here. Because I want to go lay back down. I've been laying on the floor with my legs up on the couch a lot today, which helped a little bit. I did some Tylenol, I did some muscle relaxants, and I've got a heating pad on my back right now. This is weird. This is like a muscular thing. It was from Sunday at class. Oh boy, don't get old. Don't get old. In the chat, Sporny was first. FizzPV, Chef Bruno, Swiss Links going analog. Frank Nicholas, Royal FPV, FizzPV, Green Thumb, Chef Bruno, Fizz, Gusto, Uriel. Who else is here? You Can FPV is in the house. McShaky. I could feel the muscle relaxant. Chef Bruno, Sporny, Uriel. I think I got everybody. What's up, friends? If you want to... Oh! Welcome to the bus. The struggle bus. If you want to talk directly to me, type CiottiFPV into the chat. Actually, you're going to have to type at CiottiFPV into the chat because YouTube continues to make things worse, and they've made the chat even worse. And you can't just type Ciotti anymore. It's real stupid. But, you know, let's just make everything worse. And then we'll charge people to get the old version of it that was, like, fine. That's what we do now. Chef Bruno says, you'll be all right. Look you with all your friends. Sporny says, but your hair looks splendid. Thanks, dude. Uriel says, no. FizzPV says, you hear the intro I did? We just did? Is there a different one? Bob Noxious is in the house. He says, what's up? What's up, brother? How are you? Oh! 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 Yeah, okay. Ooh! Nikes. Drone Daddy says, yo, man! Green Thumb says, keep moving, man. Best not to lie down with the bed back. It's a bitch, so try and keep moving. You know, I don't know about that. This week has been insane. So I heard it this last Sunday. And this week has been nuts. There's been lots of family shit, lots of driving children around. And I would wake up and it would like feel a little bit better. And then as the day went on, especially driving, it really hurts to drive. It gets worse and worse and worse. And then by the end of the night, I'm just like shot. And then I rest it. And after a bunch of rest, I'll be comfortable enough to actually fall asleep. Not for very long, but yeah, I've kind of just had to force myself to keep moving, but this is sticking around for a long time, and I've been kind of blaming the fact that I haven't been able to just relax, but who the hell knows? It'll be better at some point. Uriel says, with muscle relaxer, you can meditate very well. FizzPV tagged me but didn't say anything. Nope, here we go. Check your DM, there's a short intro. How did I miss that? Oh no, this isn't the one. This isn't the one. It's absolutely ridiculous that AI can do this. Oh my god, you poor musicians.
Live from somewhere between a soldering iron and a signal tower, it's Friday night with CiottiFPV. He's the freestyle professor, the cinematic slinger, and the undisputed overlord of tiny hoops.
That's insane.
Lock your goggles, arm your quads, and prepare for the most electrifying stream in FPV.
I don't know about that.
Hosted by the one and only CiottiFPV.
The gap between P and V. Man, it is really hard to tell that that's not somebody real. But the gap between the P and the V, it's just like, oh, okay. That makes me feel better. It really scares me when you can't tell the difference between real and AI stuff. That's a bit much. Captain Calgary's a day late, but great haircut. Thank you, dude. Uriel says, I told you have a broken back. Work 30 minutes, stay till 15. Work 15, stay still 15, and go on. Keep moving. Teddy Song's nice. Chef Bruno says, got that hybrid Cove Hay fever. Feel better soon, though. No, I don't. I specifically, I know what happened. I know what happened. We were practicing something and I was twisting back and forth and back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. So, and those are the low back muscles that have grenaded on me. Cool. I'm caught up on chat. Let's dive into it. We're gonna get some. There's gonna be some soldering tips tonight. There's gonna be some just general like building tips, like send the battery wire out the left, not the right, kind of stuff. And we're gonna talk about like gear, specifically hardware. Ooh, hold on. Okay. Ooh. Heating pad was working. I thought the heating pad was a miracle for a little bit there. Oh, wait, hey! Where's the button? There it is. I thieved that from Mighty Car Mods. Go subscribe to their channel. They're the best car channel on the internet. And just two amazing dudes. A little tiny package. The kind that I specialize in. Oh my god. I'm gonna have to rip it. There we go. Ooh, that's pretty cool. I kind of wish I'd gotten that on both. Alright, hold on. Look at this. Look at that. Damn, I really wish I'd gotten that option on both of these. Well, now I know. Now I know. I'll put that there. Hey. Go here. That is purple. Wow, does that not show up properly? That is purple carbon fiber. Well, yeah, I'll put it next to regular carbon fiber. There you go. Now you can tell. I kind of can't tell. Man, the purple really doesn't come through. In here in the real world, you can definitely tell that it's got some purplishness, especially like when it kind of catches the light. These are sub 250 FPV frames. I've realized that I've got some extra X12s. And since those are 2S, I could just drop them into these. There should be an X12 within arm's reach. Nope. Not getting it. I got the big, thick bitch base plate option. I think this is 2.5 millimeters, maybe 3.5 millimeters. Because I'm not afraid of the weight, and I want it to be strong. Since it's a unibody, I don't want to deal with breaking arms or base plates. So yeah, one of these is the... No, it doesn't say. Hold on, let me look up which ones these are. I want to say these are turtles. I like turtles. Let me see. I'll tell you which one these... I actually have to figure out which one's which, too. So... Why does my inbox look like that? Okay, that's better. Get out of here. Get! Why does my inbox look like that? What's happening? How did it get 102? How did that happen? Where's the email, bro? Hold on. Where did all my emails go? What's happening? 10:15. Did I order that long ago? No. 10:8? There's no way I ordered it all the way back on 10:8. Where did the emails go from CNC Madness? Oh boy, I can feel that. 10:8. Wow, I did order this a while. Oh wait, no. This is from 2017. Where? Oh, here's all the emails. Oh wow, mail must be. Mail's doing something weird. Those emails don't seem any good. I don't need all these stupid DHL emails. Where's the email with the... Here it is. Here it is. I got it. So, the purple one is This didn't help. There it is. This one is the Pro Turtle. Pro Turtle 2-inch. Yeah, Pro Turtle 2-inch with 2.5 millimeter base plate in purple carbon. And then this other one is the Baby Turtle V7. And so I was having a hard time on their website figuring out what was different about them. So let's figure that out right now. By them calling it Pro, I'm going to assume that... what am I going to assume? I'm going to assume that it means that there's less prop in view. That's a professional thing, right? It's professional to have less prop in view. And so... let's hold them on top of each other. Yeah, same geometry. Same exact... well, no, they've both got these little cutouts here. I see. I see. So the nose is a little bit longer on the purple one. The purple one is the Pro. Yep, so that's exactly what it is. The Pro has a slightly longer nose. There you go, you can see it. To push the camera farther out, to have less duct in view. And it looks like the ass is a little bit longer too. So the Pro is just longer all around. There you go. These are perfectly lined up with each other. And it looks like the Pro has... well, that's interesting. Out here, the Pro is like a little bit wider, kind of. Let's see what the difference is in weight. Weird guy, that's CiottiFPV. Weird guy. All right, here we go. For the record, I have no idea if an X12 on 2S is going to be enough for these. I was very tempted to go with the 1.6-inch versions of these because I know that that'll work. But I can just run those smaller props on these, and if I can find a low enough pitch 2-inch biblade, maybe these will work. So the Baby Turtle version 7, just the base plate, holy shit, is 6.5 grams. The Pro is 8. Wow. So an extra 1.5 grams for the Pro. I wouldn't have thought that. But the scale don't lie. So that's just the bottom plates. The top plates are very similar, but a little bit different. Looks like the hardware is the same too. 4.5 versus 3.8. So another 0.5 gram or so difference with the top plates. Oh, this is... I took the muscle relaxant like an hour ago. That was probably a mistake. I don't know if I'm going to build both of these. I might just build one, but it's going to get built with a with an X12 AIO, and then probably BT 3.0. I don't think I'll go XT30. So BT 3.0, and then we'll run the little 300. Hopefully it'll make enough jam for the 3.5-inch props. For the hopefully it'll be efficient enough for the do not operate heavy machinery. Hopefully it'll be efficient enough for the 300 mAh BT 2.0 tiny whoop batteries. There we go. This other one that I got is T700 carbon. And so since the arms are the same geometry and everything. So T700 carbon is supposedly a little bit stronger. I've heard people say that that's absolute and utter nonsense. I don't know who to believe. The carbon fiber weave is going in the correct direction. That's really cool. I like that a lot. This T700 one might be a little bit stiffer. It might not, but it might. That's okay. This one's purple, and purple's cool. Yeah, you can actually see it. Purple's cooler, so this one's better. That'll be pretty fun. That'll be exciting to build those and see what's what. Chef Bruno says, I told you, we told to be doing that standing up. Indeed. Cole FPV says, is there a 3S AIO for a toothpick build? Feel like I could handle the extra throttle. I am the wrong guy to ask about AIOs, but just, I'm curious too. Electronics. Oh my god. Obviously, we're just looking at one website, but there's oh no. I know what you're looking for. You're looking for a small, lightweight AIO, which is becomes harder and harder to find. You know, so like this technically is 3S, but it's 3S up to 6S with 35 amp FETs. You don't need all that. And this is going to be heavy. You do not need that for a toothpick. You need something like this. Tune RC Poly F405 20 amp 2S to 4S. It's not that much less money. It's actually not less at all. But it is going to be lighter. This Tune RC is meant for micros. This, even though it's called Micro Air, this is probably made for bigger stuff because it goes up to 6S. So yeah, it looks like Tune RC's got one. Who else? Gep RC Taker. Basically, what you want to look for is 2 to 4S. Don't get something that goes up to 6S. It's going to be bigger. It's going to be heavier. It's going to be kind of a waste. You're looking for 2 to 4S. And so it does look like there's a bunch. Oh, look at this one. But you don't want that thing hanging off the back there. You don't want that dangly bit. Yes, 3 to 6S. You don't need that. 2 to 6S. No. Darwin. So yeah, so there are some. There you go. Uriel says, "Sorry, you're not so weird as me. Let's put up a match." Cole Power says, "Is it possible to build a 1.6 inch with enough power to rocket through my living room ceiling?" No. Even 5-inch rigs won't go through the ceiling. They'll leave big dents in the ceiling, but they won't go through it. Uriel says, "Get used to the med before car driving." He also says, "Pain medication is the bat shit. Dump it as fast as possible." Yeah, I try really hard not to take medicine, especially medicine like this. But I don't know. Sometimes you just got to take medicine. I don't know. Pretend I said something more clever than that. All right, so here we go. We're going in. We're going in. Here we go. So I've the only real thing I did off stream is I put these two M2 by 20 screws in here, just so that I could sit the Vista on there to take the picture for the thumbnail. And so in the Cinesplore, as we talked about on Wednesday, you've got 20 by 20 in the front, and in the back you've got 20 by 20 or 25 by 25 or 30 by 30. And so away we go. And so since we're doing 20 by 20, we're going to use the inner 20 by 20 holes here. And so on the Cinesplore, these screws kind of don't, if you're using the 20 by 20 holes, they don't want to go. But it's super easy. Just put a driver on them and just twist them, and it puts like a little it sort of like threads the outside of the they go in when you do that. They go in. That's what I'm trying to say. Wow. This is wild. I don't like this. Ooh. All right, so okay, and so I'm using these little aluminum 2mm M2 spacers here that you can get from Newbie Drone, because we've got press nuts in the way here of where the Vista is going to be sitting down. So these two press nuts and just barely the inside of these press nuts touch the Vista. So we're gonna put these 2mm spacers on here just to lift the Vista up a little bit. What's also really cool about that is you can run the camera cable under the Vista because you're pulling it up a little bit. And so you end up with something that's super neat and super tidy. And it's also going to make more room for the receiver up on top of the Vista. So all good things. You could certainly use like plastic, like 2mm plastic nuts here, but I'm not. I'm using these little aluminum spacers, which again you can get from Newbie Drone. They've got all different colors. They've got 2mm and they've got 5mm. I really wish they had 3mm. There's a bunch of scenarios where 3mm is the right size. All right, so this is a job for the nut grabber. So we're gonna put it like that, and then there you go. So the nut grabber is gonna grab it just like he grabs your nuts, like it's a nut. And then you can just get it started, and that's all you really need. You just need to get it started, and then it's fine. So there's yet another amazing usage of the nut grabber. Can't feel my fingers. Whoa! All right, here we go. Tighten this last one down. Okay. Grab these guys and just wiggle them a little bit. Make sure they're not going to betray you. And now that's fine. What we do need to do is a battery lead on here. This is 14 gauge. That's pretty unnecessary. Let me see if I have a 16. Do I have a 16 in the toolbox? Let's see. This looks like it might be it. Is that what you are, little fella? Oh no, that's 12. We're going the wrong direction. What about this guy? What are you? That's 14 too. All right, we're going to use the 14. All right, so Cinesplore. The battery lead. So there's going to be a duct. There's going to be a duct here. Like, yeah. And so the battery lead kind of needs to like turn the corner here on the inside of the duct, right? And then it needs to pop up and you need to plug it in. What I usually do with a Cinesplore, because you're going to be running a GoPro on the front, you're going to, all you got to do is basically have it be long enough to where it sits up like this. You're then going to put your battery on here, and then you run the leads in the front of the battery, and then you just loop it over, and it plugs into that guy. So we don't need a ton of length, which is good because this wire is very heavy. You know? So let's first really quickly figure out how much length. We'll cut it. And then I'm going to take the ESC out of here and put it on the OmniFixo. I like sending these guys out the left side. If you're looking at it from back, run it out the left side, because when you pick up a drone, you usually hold it like that. You hold it with the left side towards you, and so that makes it easier to then unplug the battery. Charlottesville Drone with its $5 super chat. Thank you, brother. He says, thanks so much for your walkthrough fix of motors not spinning in live stream. My build is running so nicely now. Nice, man. Hell yeah. What was it? Was it what was it? Good Lord, man. This is scary stuff. Okay, so battery lead. We got ground on my left, positive on my right. So, ground on my left. So that means we want the ground wire down, okay? That way, the ground wire goes on there, and then the positive goes up top, and you don't have them like weirdly crossed up or anything strange like that. So, and then the other thing that we want to do is to potentially cut the ground lead a little bit shorter, but that kind of depends because we are going to put a little angle on it here. So this is going to go like this, and then we want it to stick up. And so give this a little bit of a bend, see how far down, and keep it over here, keep it tight. And right. So it's going to be roughly like that. Our top plate is on this plane, and so it's a little bit above the top plate. All right. And so that looks about good. I'm also trying to place it between the ducts because that's where your fingers are going to be able to get into. So up here, between the ducts, standing it up the way that it should be. And so now we'll do just the ground first. It's pretty much exactly where I need it to be. So we'll do the ground one first. So we'll just hold it like that. And then come in here, and I'm going to cut it just a little bit too long. Okay. All right, so the ground wire is good. And then we're going to lay the voltage wire up on top here. Make sure it's the way where it needs to be. Get the ground lined up. Lay this here. And then we're going to cut this one a little bit long too. Cool. And that's like kind of the easiest way that I've found to get the battery lead like with exactly the right lengths, basically, which does make a difference because the battery lead wires are the least willing to sort of bend, basically. But yeah, put the plug where you want it to be, and then cut it down from there. All right, so that's where I want it to be. I'm just kind of double checking right now. I might have cut the positive a little bit too short. Nah, it's fine. It's fine. And what's interesting about that, right, is when I flatten these out, look at this. They're actually the same length. because the wire is going like this, right? And this makes the red one longer, and then they're kind of crossing over. This direction change doesn't really matter. It's this direction that makes the black wire run a longer path, right? And that's how the battery lead's going to sit. You know what I mean? The battery lead's going to sit up like this. It's not going to flatten out like that. It's not going to sit like that. It's going to sit up here like this. So that's why you want to kind of do it that way. All right, so let's get the ESC out of here. And we're going to start OmniFixoing some shit. All right. Let's turn on the soldering iron. Oh boy, I'm about to do work while on drugs. This is unusual. Luckily, I've done this a million times, so I should be fine. Okay, first things first, we need to strip and tin these wires. All right, so if you just look at the battery pads, you want to see how big they are to kind of figure out how much you want to strip off of here. That looks to be about right. And then super gently, or just kind of leaving like a dent in the silicone here, and then grab the wire and yoink it. Yoink it good, friends. And then look inside of there and make sure there's not a bunch of strands of wire that you accidentally cut. This is pretty thick gauge wire, and so even if you did have a couple individual strands in there, it wouldn't be much of a deal. On a 30 gauge wire, for example, there's only 8. A lot of times there's only 8 inner strands of wire. So if you nick and accidentally cut a few of those off, it is a big deal. Okay. The same thing on this one. Just gentle, 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 gentle. Rotating it around, and then grab the wire and pull. And then look in there, and we're good. All right, and then the other thing I like to do is just push the silicone down a little bit with my fingernail. And with a big thick wire like this, I'll also give it a little twisty. All right. Cool, so now we're gonna tin these wires. What tinning wires does is it puts enough solder in the wire to where you don't need to you tin the wire and you tin the pad, and then you don't have to try to add solder in while you're putting the wire on the pad. All you have to do is push the tip of the soldering iron down on them, and there's already enough solder there that it'll do the job for you. So, I got some flux on the wires. These big thick wires love flux. And so what we're going to do here is I'm going to come in from the right side with the heat source, and I'm going to come in the left side with the solder. And so now I'm going to move the work a little bit so I can do one, and then I can do the other. Cool? And now with these big ass thick wires, you got to be patient. My soldering iron is at 710. This is a fairly skinny little tip, so I'm going to have to be extra patient. But here we go. Soldering iron on one side. What you can do is get it started by putting a little bit of solder in between the wire and the tip of the soldering iron. That'll start transferring the heat quicker. And then you just start pushing the solder in between the strands of wire. There's one. Here comes the other. And so I'm just touching some solder to the tip of the soldering iron to get the heat transfer going. And now that's it. And all was once again right with the world. Take a look. Make sure that you have enough solder on there. I'm going to put a little bit more on the red. There's probably enough, but better safe than sorry. So, tip, wire, between the wire and the tip. There we go, much better. You don't want to do that very often because every single time you do that, the wire starts to the solder starts to travel down the wire. And so get that done as quick as you can. Use flux. And yeah, try to have it be one and done. All right. So now ESC is here. We're going to grab it with 3 of the OmniFixo arms to kind of triangulate it and keep it from moving. And there we go. And so we're going to go this way. And we're going to run it like this, with the black on the bottom, the red on top, because the black is going to get hooked up here, and then the red is going to come up over top and get hooked up there. So we're going to do the black first because it's going to be in the way of the red. We'll take our other OmniFixo arm, and what's really cool about these is how good of a job they do at holding wires down. Because the OmniFixo kind of only goes where you want it, it doesn't have that annoying spring back that the other helping hands have. It holds it like in the perfect position. So I'm going to put a little angle on here, because what I'm trying to do is get the silicone hanging off the pad, like what we talked about last time. I'll show you that once it's finished up. And so there it is. Cool. So now the wire's in the perfect spot. I'm going to move the work around a little bit here so I can get the soldering iron in here really easily. And we're going to flux some shit. We're going to flux the wires. And we're going to flux the pad. This will make sure everything stays nice and clean and the heat transfer happens quickly. Put this back where it belongs. Okay, there we go. That should be really good. And so now, your left hand is going to be for your tweezers, because you are going to need to hold this wire down, and you might even need to move it around, and you don't want to do that with the tip of the soldering iron. So we're going to put this side of our hand flat down on the desk, which is going to allow us to hold the soldering iron really steady. And then, so I'm just going to grab this wire so I have a little bit of control over it. And I'm going to pick up a little bit of solder on the tip of the iron. Come on now. There it is. Hold the wire in the right spot. Drop it down. That flux is going to make this happen pretty quick. The wire is flowing. It's starting to transfer heat into the pad. This is the ground pad, so you got to be patient. Push a little bit more. Just kind of move the tip of the soldering iron around a little bit. Push down a little bit more. Now I can see it flowing from the wire to the pad. Give it another split second. And I don't have quite enough solder on there. So I'm going to hit this again right now, and I'm going to feed solder in there, and then I'm going to pick up the tweezers. All right, so that is now enough solder. Tweezers, hold it. Stay nice and still. There we go. That's a pretty good joint. We're going to roll right into the next one, and I'll show you them both. So flux the pad, flux the wire, and let's get this one done. Man, it is hard to do this work without bending forward. I'm going to try to bend forward because I can't get close enough sitting back in the chair. All right, so move this little guy forward. Actually, I'm going to take it out of this OmniFixo arm. All right, so now we're going to take this guy. We can't hang this off the pad, so we're going to create like a little bit of a 45-degree downward angle. And I'm going to clean the tip of the soldering iron. And here we we go. Okay. Pad went liquid. Everything's flowing together. Push down. We're just making sure that everything is hot. Stay still. Don't blow on it. Don't talk to people on the internet. Just stay still. And so now it looks a little bit janky because of this extra black wire, but watch. Once this is pointing upwards, it's damn near perfect. See that? And that's the way this is going to live. This is going to live pointing upwards like this. So that's that came out real nice. Real nice. So there's that. Voltage lead, nice and smooth. And then there's the ground lead. Yeah, it's hard to see. But basically what you're looking for is for the joints to be nice and smooth. They don't... I mean, it's nice when they're shiny. If you use flux, they'll be shiny. But even if they're not super shiny, as long as the joints are smooth, they're going to be strong. And so now check the wires and make sure that the solder didn't chase all the way down them. See, the solder chased all the way down here. On the solder ran all the way down to here. You can literally see where the solder went down. That's from when I was on that positive pad. That's normal. That's normal. There's not a whole lot you can do to get around that other than working quicker. But with big, thick gauge wire, like, you have to dump that heat in there regardless. All right. So there is that. Now the temptation is to put this in there and wire up the motors, but don't do that. Do everything else first. Build from the middle out. And so we've got the voltage lead on here. That we set this up last time to sit down in these nice little grommets. When we're ready to do the motor wires, we can just kind of pull this up and out of the way. But for right now, we're going to throw these nuts back up on here because I don't need to remove this ESC. Or do I? Hold on. Yeah. No, I'm going to run the camera wire up over the flight controller. Well, let me make sure there's enough room for that. So, okay. This is going to sit back here like that. It's going to sit a little bit higher, but this should work just for the time being. So camera cable is going to loop under like that. And so here we go. Okay, right. So it's going to loop. I'm going to have it loop up and over. And I just want to make sure that it's going to have enough room. Yep, perfect. And so that's just right. That's going to go right up and over the flight controller like that. The top plate will obviously push it down a little bit. And that way, if Drew ever needs to swap the camera out, he doesn't have to pull the stack up. Sometimes on my builds, I'll run this cable under the ESC just to make it like super neat and tidy. But then, God forbid I ever need to get to that cable, it's a nightmare. So we're not going to do that here. We're going to leave it running up and over. All right. The run cam included this cable with plug header, which is kind of the standard for DJI. So it should just plug right in here. Let's take a look. Pins up. Yo, I've been watching Halo on Netflix. It really sucks. You shouldn't watch it. It doesn't suck, but they cut some weird corners, and they did some weird shit. There are a bunch of moments where, like, I'm like, wait, you expect me to believe that? Kind of like there's a bunch of lazy storytelling and there's a bunch of other random stuff that just kind of happens. But here's the thing. We don't want to trust that all of these colors are correct. So let's... so this is a RunCam fart bag. And they give you a nice little instruction manual here. Okay. So I'm just going to leave this out. I haven't done one of these Vistas in a while. I don't remember. But the other thing, the more important thing is on the ESC where these pins are in this plug header. It's probably going to be right, but if it isn't, we could blow some shit up, and we obviously don't want to do that. So we need to find what flight controller this is on the internet, and it should just be Mini F7, T-Motor Mini F7. So let's take a look. Let's take a look. Man, hurts my nose. Mini F7, T-Motor Mini F7. And then we want images. Charlottesville Drone says, try soldering on the floor laying on your stomach. It's super stable. Total game changer for me. Really? That's insane. Charlottesville Drone also says, oh, I joined late and you sound just the littlest bit. I love it. Yeah, I'm on muscle relaxants right now. I should not have taken them an hour ago. Well, it's been about 2 hours now. I can't believe how strong they are. I forget what it was. FPV says, what would be a good use for a set of 0802, 08015? I don't know what an 08015 is, but 22,000 kV is not, like, it's not high enough for 1S. It's not low. It's not low enough for 2S. So I don't know, dude. Ask me on the next live stream when I'm not a mess. Or maybe somebody in chat's already helping you out. On Charlottesville Drone says, on 75mm new build, 802, 20,000, heavy bottom motors didn't spin at all. Flashing Blue Jay with startup settings and idle at 12-ish%, dynamic idle at 200 fixed it. Gotcha. Very, very cool. Very, very cool. Okay, so this is what we want. This is exactly what we want. It's on PyroDrone. Look at PyroDrone helping us out. There we go. Okay, so first thing we want to do is just look at this flight controller and compare it to the one that we're holding in our hands. So that's great. Okay, so we've got 10 volt ground TX3 RX3, and then we can skip this second ground and RX1. So if the pins are in the upward direction, oh wow, yeah, so this is totally wrong. This is totally wrong. We've got this plug header has yellow where the 10 volt output should be. Then it does have ground, and then it's got gray and white. So what we need to do is move the red and swap the red and the yellow, and then I'm gonna take out this other ground. Okay, so let's get that done. Dealing with JST plug headers. Ready? Get yourself a silicone mat that's nice and grippy. And you're going to put it with the latches facing upwards. Grab your super sharp tipped death tweezers. And grab your magnification. Because trying to do this without magnification, it sucks the biggest bag of donkey dicks on earth. So I like to put it in this way, And what I do is I grab the wire with my middle finger and my thumb, and then I use my index finger to hold the other wires down. And so I can pull with my middle finger and my thumb to get this wire out of here. You don't want to be pulling on the wire, though, while you're trying to release these latches. You almost want to be pushing on the wire. And so with your magnified headpiece, you can actually see what you're doing. So you're going to dig under the little plastic latch. Sometimes it helps to hold these like this because you got to get them really flat. You're going to dig under the plastic latch and then just boost it up as little as possible and just pull. And that's it. Don't overcomplicate it. Don't muscle anything. Just chill the fuck out and gently remove it. Let's do this second ground next. And just be patient. Just dig, dig, dig. Lift the plastic latch up a little bit. Lift the plastic latch up a little bit. Like I said, this ain't easy. Dig diagonal. There we go. There it is. And once you get it like a little of the way out, it'll just kind of go the rest of the way. So, all right. One more. Okay. That one was easy. It's hard when they're next to each other. It's easy when they're over. And then so I'm going to take this one out and I'm going to put it over here where it needs to be. And when you're putting these back in, make sure you hear or feel a click, a very slight click of the plastic latch slotting back down in there. And then the last thing that I like to do is just push down on the plastic latches. So just come in here with your tweezers, and any plastic latches that you lifted up, just push them back down a little bit. And you'll be able to see the little latch on the metal part kind of interacting, and then you can even just give it a little tug to make sure it's really in there. And so now we're good. So this is going to plug into the flight controller. The other side of this is going to get soldered to the VTx. So let's do that next. So in order to do that, we want to put the flight controller in here where it's going to be. And then with the plug header, it's super handy. You can just plug it right on in. Oh, son of a bitch. They have silk screened on here. They've silk screened on this flight controller what these, what the pins and the pin header are. That's awesome. So we've got ground. Yeah, ground, voltage, T3, R3. Cool. All right, so we're going to plug this guy in here. Actually, so we're going to be a little slick with this. I'm going to put a 90-degree angle on this guy. I'm going to pick this up, plug it in here, and now ready? Super gentle plugging these in. Super, super, super gentle. Kind of rock them back and forth just a little bit. Get it plugged in. All right, so I got this nice sharp angle, right? I'm going to run this in between the two boards. I'm going to have plenty of space in between the ESC and the flight controller. Since this is going to have ducts on it, this doesn't matter as much. But on open prop rigs, if you've got wires on the outside like this, you got to get them facing inwards as soon as you possibly can. And so yeah, we're going to run them like that. And then they're going to go all the way into the back. No, they're not. The pads on this guy are going to be right up front. So we'll pick these up. Just hold them up and out of the way like that. And then we're going to test fit this Vista in here. And so now we've got these guys. So we will what I'm going to do is I'm just going to push down a little bit to give them some extra length. And it's okay that they're a bundle. They're just going like kind of straight on there. And so, hold on. There we go. Cool. What you can even do is like take a pair of tweezers, put them down like that, just to kind of hold them down. Okay. Hold them down nice and low. And then make sure that the flight controller is still in position. Make sure you have enough extra length. Bundle these guys together and cut them a little long. Because we're going to spin them up, and that's going to eat up some of the wire length. And so there we go. Okay. So that should be just about right. Take this off here, take this out of here. And so now you can even take this out of here, because we're going to solder directly to the VTx here. So let's see if the OmniFixo will grab this guy. You can FPV said, did you skateboard when you were younger? Nope, I was not allowed to. It was heartbreaking. But I'm probably better off now because I'm not like destroyed. Skateboarding has a tendency to just wreck your shit. So I wasn't one of the cool kids growing up, but hey, my body functions in adulthood, so that's pretty good. I mean, my body kind of functions. It's not great. All right, so stretch these guys out. All right. And so we're going to strip and tin all four of these little fellas. And so since these are 30 gauge wire, I can actually use my fingernails. On the Vista, the pads that you're soldering to are extremely small. And so only strip off a little tiny bit. You don't need to strip off a lot here. Okay. That first one was fucking perfect. All right, second one. Okay. Good to go. Three and four. There it is. Cool. And just push the silicone down a little bit. All right, that's good. Cool. Hold this guy here, and we're going to tin these in the same way that we tinned that XT60, but this is going to happen a lot faster because they're itty bitty little 30 gauge. And so I'm not even going to bother to put flux on these wires because the heat's going to transfer so fast from them being so small. CMYK's in the house. What's up, brother? Life Behind Bar says, what do you think about the new Betaflight turtle mode auto flip? Looks sweet to me. I don't love that because you're not in control. I want to have total control over this thing at all times. And so yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's fine, but I've never once used turtle mode and thought to myself, man, this is super annoying. I wish this would do this for me. You know what I mean? It's just you flip into turtle mode and then you flip back over and then like you're good to go. But like I know that some people can't handle that and they sit there at full throttle with one motor for 14 seconds. I don't know why anybody does that. Just don't do that. Life advice. Just don't do that. I gotta I gotta remove this awesome little cover that they put for to keep the UFL plugged in to get to these 2 extra pads. So we've got a voltage pad, V for voltage, G for ground, RX, TX. Okay, I don't know which one's RX and which one's TX. So we're gonna take this guy. I'm gonna look at the silk screening on the flight controller, and that ain't the right plug. It's that plug. So on the flight controller, TX3 is gray. Yeah. TX3 is gray, so gray is going to go to RX on the Vista. And that's perfect because that's how it's lined up. Cool. So these wires aren't going to cross at all. All right, so let's tin these pads just a little tiny bit. We are going to use some flux for this. 2, 3. Okay. All right, I got to sit forward again here. And all right. Do the first one handheld, and then I'll probably do tweezers for the rest. So get it into position. Clean the tip of the soldering iron. And this is going to happen damn near instantaneously. And so what I end up doing is pushing up a little bit to get the silicone butted up against the PCB. Now we're going to do ground. Woo! I'm not shaky tonight. Jesus. Nah, it looks like shit. Let's redo it. There we go. I just had to make the wire round again. Got a little flattened out. All right, so that kind of went on there. It's not quite perfect. I can come in like this, sideways, and I'm going to pick up a little tiny bit of soldering, and I'm just going to add a little bit of solder. Oh, I forgot to tin these pads. No wonder. I was going to say, where the hell's all the solder? I'm going to do the first one as well. Okay, that's going to work a lot better. All right, so I do need to redo the first one, because it moved down a whole bunch. Oh my god, I'm going to attack this dog with a hammer. All right, and this OmniFixo is getting in my way. Okay. That's better. Okay. I really like doing these by hand, but when they're close together like this, it's so difficult. Let me try it, though. Okay, that's almost perfect. I'm going to just hold these 2 wires together here, and I'm just going to clean this up a little tiny bit. There's a little too much solder on this joint, so I'm just going to turn the tip of the soldering iron over to the clean side, and then solder always travels towards the heat. So that was able just to pick up a little bit of extra solder, and away we go. School 901 says, does a tiny whoop frame have to be flat? Just got my Mobile 704 light and the frame is bent a little bit. Boil a pot of water and put it in there. It'll flatten itself right back out. That shit happens in shipping all the time, and that's one of the easiest fixes for it. There we go. Okay. And now we got RX. Oops, that was super ugly. Okay. And TX. TX is not close enough. Okay. I'm just going to clean those two pads up a little bit. So I'm going to come in sideways and hold all 4 wires. And just hit these 2 pads. Real quick. 1 and 2. There we go. All right. Vista is soldered up. That might be all the soldering that we're going to get done today. I don't think there's anything. We're definitely not going to get to the motors. Oh my god, it's 8:20 already. Okay, so now we see if we made them too short. So I'll just leave the camera out for the time being. So we're going to run these in here. I'm not going to spin them up yet. We're just going to exit this out the side here. Put this down. And face this in the correct direction. And look at that. We're good to go. Cool. Nice and tidy. The wires are protected. All up in there. I could have maybe cut these wires a little bit longer. I kind of wish I had. But it'll be fine. I'll do one turn in this. Just one. Maybe just 2. Maybe 3. The more turns you do, the shorter the wires get, so I don't want to do too many. But what I do like to do is twist it too much, and that'll give the wires like that little bit of memory, and then you can just sort of untwist it a little bit. All right, so VTx is good to go. That's wired up. We will need the soldering iron again because we're going to do the receiver now. All right, so yeah, this is totally done here. Other than, obviously, like mounting it and the bing bongs. So, for the receiver, let's take a look. Let's put the Vista down in here. And we're going to see how much room we have above the Vista. And the answer is we have quite a bit. This is where the top plate's going to be, and the Vista's here. So I'm going to double side VHB tape the receiver right on top of the Vista here. Let me take this QR code off, and I'll put it on the bottom. Don't stick stuff on top of stickers. You'll regret it. Okay. And where's that receiver at? So, we've got a Radiomaster RP4TD. I assume the TD stands for True Diversity, maybe? Let's get this rolling here. So it comes with a little bundle of wires, which is great. And a little bit of shrink wrap as well. A lot of shrink wrap. All right. So, this receiver doesn't look unusually thick or anything like that, so yeah, we'll be absolutely fine. Let's solder the wires up to the receiver itself first, and then we'll do the flight controller. So we'll take our bundle of wires. Since the UFLs are on top of this, I'm going to solder the wires on top as well. Before we start soldering, though, let's check which direction we want to put the wires. You can either solder the wires on in this direction, or you can solder them on in this direction. And so let's figure that out. These antennas, so it's going to sit roughly here. And so these antenna wires are pretty short. But let's see. If I run the antenna wires like that and I mount this the other way, yeah, that looks pretty good. So if this is mounted up here like this, that antenna wire has just enough length to get down to where it might be mounted down here. And then for this other antenna, maybe we can mount it up here like this. So yeah, I think I want to set it up like this. And then so what I'm going to do is I am going to solder the wires in this direction here. Cool? Yeah. All right, I think you're supposed to cycle the heating pad off and on. I've had it on for a long time. I think it was working though, because I'm 99% sure what I did to my back is just muscular issues, as in I don't have any. All right, let's get these antennas out of the way. Omni fix O. All right, now it's being held nice and solid. They have very kindly silkscreened on there what the different pads are. And so, okay. Red, black, red, green, yellow, white, black. Wait, what? Black. I can't figure it out. I'm gonna untwist. I was trying to figure it out while it was twisted, but that's kind of silly. Yeah, this is a good amount of wire. Okay, so we're gonna tin the pads first. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. There we are. Where's all the solder going? Ah. It's a, there's pads on both sides, so the solder was running away. All right. So we've got ground, 5-volt, TX, and RX. So ground first. And you're just going to hold it super flat as you can. Let's choke up on the wire a little bit, hold it a little bit closer so it's going to move less. And there we go. There's ground. Here comes voltage. Just holding the wire super flat on the pad. It's not quite flat enough. Let's push down on the wire. Ouch, fucker. I usually don't do that because that's exactly what happens. Let's use the tweezers like we should. Grab the wire all the way up at the tip with the tweezer, with the tip of the tweezers. Okay. So I did a little bit of a trick there where you can be holding the wire with the tweezers, push down on it with the soldering iron, hold it in place with the soldering iron, release with the tweezers, and then re-grab it with the tweezers. Sometimes you have to do that if the wire's not sitting flat enough on the pad. It's hard to explain that. I hope you guys know what I mean. I'm just going to do white for TX because there's a T in the word white. Really doesn't matter what color you use. Or does it? There we go, and then green. Okay. You want to spend your time here getting the wire perfectly placed. Don't try to do this while you've got the iron on the pad. Alright, I just barely got it. Now I'm going to get it flat. That's another way to do it. Like, get a shitty solder joint, just like tack it in place real quick. And then you can move your tweezers farther forward and grab the joint a little bit better. And so, here's what you end up with. That white one, I could sneak a little bit farther forward. I'm actually gonna. But, see how they're nice and flat on the pad? That's what you want. I'm gonna just scooch that white one ever so slightly farther forward. Okay. There we go. That's better. Cool. And so now leave them flat along the length of the bing bong. Don't coil them up inside of here yet. What I'm going to do is go like this and go like that. And I'm going to put the shrink wrap on right now. And so that's what it looks like. These two antennas will just border the rest of these wires. I like to kind of keep these wires really neat. And so what I'll do is I'll fold them under, and that just kind of keeps them together. And then we take our shrimp wrap, and we're going to shrimp wrap the whole damn thing. But the shrimp wrap has to go over these wires. So make sure you don't screw that up. It depends on which direction you send the wires and which direction you send the antennas. Oh, that's the wrong fucking camera. How long's that been on? God damn it. I guess not that long, because I was just showing you guys the these solder joints I just did. All right, so here we go. And all right, that looks about right. These wires have gotten all tangled up. Let's do that again. A little angle downwards, a little angle downwards. Once this shrink wrap is shrunk, it'll kind of keep these things nice and flat. All right, there's that. That's looking really nice. If you hit this with a lighter, use the blue part of the flame. It won't turn the shrink wrap black. So just hold the lighter right up against it. There we go. It's beautiful, Clark. It's beautiful. There you go. The wires aren't inside. They are not inside. And we still have access to the, on the right there, the bind button. Alright. And now we gotta get these wire lengths right for the flight controller. So we'll bring that back in here. Alright. And cool. So yeah, this is gonna sit right there like that. So I can kind of let it sit there, but what I need to do, well, although actually all these pads are silk screened on here. So let me just take a look. Maybe I can use this little bundle of pads here. This is T5 and R5. We need to send this thing 5 volt. So let's take another look at this. And so what's happening? What the hell's happening? There we go. So these pads here, RX5, oh, ESC5 and 6, and no, we can't use these. SDA won't work. SDA, there's no 5 volt there. So we got to go to the bottom here, and so we're going to use these. So we're going to use the 4th, 5th. No, we're not. What the hell? Where are you supposed to hook up a receiver to this? Over here. RX1 and TX1. This just says power, though. That's a little scary. I don't know if that's 5 volt or full voltage. I'll bet you this thing will take either. Man, I feel legitimately drunk from this muscle relaxer. It's been probably over a decade since I've had a muscle relaxer. This sucks. Okay. So this is gonna sit here, and then I need to run it up and over, and so okay, and I want to do that same thing. I want to like build the angle into it, build the curve into it. All right, so that looks pretty good, and now we're gonna come up here and chop all 4. We only cut them down a little bit. No, soldering iron. Chill out. Be cool. Go back up to full volume. Okay, we're going to strip and tin these, and then we're going to tin the pads, zap it down, and then the only other soldering will need to be the motors, and that's awesome. Okay. 3 and 4. All right. Yikes. So, here we go. Let's tin these pads. So what do we got? There should be 6 pads. Why are there only 5 on mine? Oh, perfect. It says 5 volt. So I can see it silkscreen on there. Ground, 5 volt, R1, T1. And there's also a a PPM pad on here, but we're not going to use that. So T1 is a little bit shorter, and so that's going to be R coming off of here. So R would be green. Yeah, so the green wire is going to be just a little bit shorter. And so let's just do that super quick. This is being kind of ultra insane, but what I've actually found is that when I do this, if at some point I have to work on this, it makes it easier to know which wire goes to which pad, because like if there's, yeah, it just does. You know what I mean? All right, let's tin these guys. White one, green one, red, black. Okay. And now we need to tin these pads here. And so the pads that we're going to use, so only put flux on the pads that you want to use. So that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Move the work like this so that I'm not crossing over any components that I don't have to be. Denzilla Turbo says that's some pretty Italian wiring on that receiver. Nice. I love it. All right, 1 pad, 2 pad, 3 pad, shoe pad. Okay. And now, don't get these guys all screwed up. Don't get these guys crossed over themselves. Fan them out a little bit, and you'll be way happier. Or maybe that's just me. Okay. So, here we go. I'm just gonna do this in the rig. It's fine. Nope, I'm not, because the stack screws are kind of getting in the way. So real quick, this guy. Where are those tinned pads? There they are. So we're going to grab, and grab, and grab. Miata's almost done. I should have that back next week. And it can just sit in the garage until I probably decide to sell it. But that's interesting. I like that. Okay, so yeah, I want the wires to come in like this. Oh, fuck. Sorry, guys. God damn it. Sorry. Sorry. Bad streamer. Bad. R1. Wait, no. T1. T1 first. So T1 is going to be the green wire. So let's do that one first. Okay. The rest of these guys out of the way. All right. Here we go. All right, that's pretty good, but the wire's not sitting down quite flat enough on the pad. So we're going to come in here, grab the wire really close with just the tips of the tweezers, and just hit it one more time, and now it's totally flat. Next one is R1. Move these two out of the way and pull it up here. Has anybody else watched Halo on Netflix? Did you kind of not like it, like me? Or is that just me? All right. I might be, I'm probably expecting too much from it. But, like, I don't know, man. There have been a bunch of video game movies that were really well done. right, there's that. And so now these wires are starting to get jumbled up. So let's just detangle. Ground is the last one. So we'll put that under there. There we are. And now we're going voltage next. Voltage being 5 volt in this case, because it's just a little receiver. There we go. And last one is ground. And the wires are a little bit bent downwards from where I stripped it, so let's just go with one of those and one of those. There we go. That's looking better. And now again, just grabbing the wire with the very tips of the tweezers. There it is. I want to get this just a little bit more flat to the pad. Same thing with the voltage wire. There we go. Hell yeah. It's beautiful, Clark. There you go. Cool. The reason why we put them flat on the pad is so that if they get yanked, they don't try to like cantilever and rip the pad off of the PCB. If they get pulled on and they're flat on the pad like this, they're going to try to pull the pad off like that rather than peeling the pad off. And this is really strong because it's the strongest way to do it. You Can FPV says, no, it's terrible. Fallout was pretty good, though. Yeah, like, Fallout was amazing. Jimmy the Crow says, speaking of Italian, where's Spaghetti at? He's upstairs. Sage is having a birthday party with his friends, so Teddy's taking advantage. Uriel says, the upper connector isn't for the motor layer. What's that mean? The motor layer. Okay. I don't need to pick the ESC up again, so I'm gonna put the nuts on it. These are just little M2 plastic nuts that are 2 millimeters tall. I lost one. Where's the other one at? What the hell? No, I just lost 2. One of them's in my hand. Oh, that's the other one. But there is still one missing. There's not 2 missing. There's just 1 missing. Where'd it go? Where are you, little plastic nut, you bastard? I swear to God, there were 4 there not too long ago. I put that one on, and then I took it back off, and that's probably the one that's vanished on me. I would love to find it. Just on principle alone. Putting these nuts here is going to just hold the ESC down and make sure that the ESC doesn't, in like a hard crash, try to smash up into the flight controller. And the way that I tighten these, oh, there's 2. I put a second one on here. There was already 1 plastic nut on this one. And so you don't want to, there's no need to like crank these down tight. And an easy way to make sure that you're not over tightening stuff is to not grab it on both sides. Right? So when I put these on, when I want to snug them up, I'll stop doing this with 2 fingers. I'll do it like this. So get it down there to where your 2 fingers get in the way. All right, and then come on the outside and just tighten it up from the outside. And there'll be a point where you can't twist it anymore, and that's not over tightened at all. So just on the outside, you push on it pretty good. But yeah, this is a good way. Like, versus if I grab it, I can just keep twisting and twisting and twisting. And this is also a way to make sure all 4 of them are roughly at the same tightness, which is what you want, because you want the flight controller to be able to sit on here level. So just with 1 finger, spin it, and there we have it. Cool. So all 4 of those are roughly the same tightness. As just a last check, I'll push down on the rubber grommets to make sure that they're seated all the way, and then just come back around one more time. One more time around the horn. Cool. And so now that ESC is being held down, and we've spaced the flight controller up a little bit, which is also really nice. I'm going to take these guys, and I am going to put a couple little twists in here. And so we're going to hold it like that. And if I kind of fold it around there like that, it'll make sure that they don't twist inside of the thing. Couple little twists. This just kind of keeps the wires together. Looks a little bit nicer. It also shortens the wires up a little bit, so you can cut your wires a little bit longer. And then if you transfer this into another build, you might have enough space still in the wires. So I always recommend doing this. There we go. That's looking good. And so this flight controller is going to sit like that. And then we're going to have this nice, neat little bundle of wires. And then this guy sits like that. And all is right with all the things. Look at that, man. Cool. Yeah. Cut that green. I should have cut that green wire even shorter. It's the longest one in this little bundle. All right. So, VTx is ready to be plugged in. ESC and flight controller are stacked up properly. Huge gap in between them. That's totally fine. We're going to put some nylock nuts on top here to hold this guy down. Yeah. This camera wire is going to go under like that to protect it, but then it's going to go up and over. This DJI bundle of wires is going to go in between these two like that. And then it's going to come up and plug in right here. Come on now. There, that's going to plug in like that. This guy is going to come back here and get VHB'd on top of the Vista. Camera sits up here like that. And nice and neat. Nothing's really touching the flight controller. All right. Everything is kind of directing itself upwards. Obviously, I have to plug the flight controller into the ESC, but since this is a stack, that just means I need to plug this header in. I am still going to check the pinouts on the plug headers. But yeah, at this point, motors need to get soldered up, and then just final assembly, and we'll be good to go. That wasn't too bad. 3/4 of 2 live streams, and I probably did like another hour screwing around with the ducts, and I have a bunch more time to spend on the ducts. Let's see what this little bit of wire weighs that I cut off. I see a lot of people that just solder the XT30, XT60 leads on at full length, and then they have all this extra wire. It's not nothing. 1.8 grams. So this is what 1.8 grams of wire looks like. For a heavy rig, that's not too bad, but every little bit helps. You know, if you save 1.8 grams 5 times in 5 different locations, that's 10 grams. That is something right there. Sorry, I've been drunk on pain meds the whole stream, but I figured this is better than no stream at all. Hopefully. Jimmy the Cow says, CiottiFPV weight weenie. I prefer weight Nazi. Get it. If you're going to do it, do it. Whew. Thanks for hanging, friends. I'll catch up with you guys on Sunday at 3 o'clock. I'm going to go lay down. Here's some more flying from Patrick's. I think. That's obnoxious. This is just static. Why is it just static the whole time? Why is this just static the whole time? Why are these HD0 DVR files just all static? What's happening? Here we go. This isn't static. This is a 5-inch rig with basically no antenna. No antenna, 5-inch rig. Oh, and a new outro song courtesy of FizPV. Thanks for hanging, friends. Sorry I'm a mess, but maybe Sunday will be better. Maybe not. Love you. Bye.
Just a funky little quad in a soul train frame. Below, we fly that flow. Below, spread that gap. No time to nap. No time to nap. Hit that roll. Funk and control. Funk and control. Bounce that wall. Bounce that all. We fly it all. Funk it all. We fly it all. and free. We fly indoors, we fly with glee. Whoop it, loop it, groove it, move it, bounce it, flip it, funk it, rip it.